Hello, everyone. We have Frittz here. He goes by Sneakerhead Ambition on Instagram and YouTube. He's a sneaker botter, now transitioning a little bit of a portion of his business into Amazon. So we're going to be speaking about that today. And yeah, Frittz, how have you been?
I've been doing well, man. Like you said, I've been reselling for more or less 5, 6 years at this point. Like you said, I've transitioned into doing a lot of FBA, FBM on Amazon with sneakers, but started off like 5, 6 years ago going to yard sales, just trying to make like an extra 10 grand. And then I realized like, well, I made, more than I was making at my full-time job as a teacher. So fell into that. And then, figured out I couldn't scale yard sales. So fell into shoes, started going to Ross and Marshalls. And then, a couple years later, here I am. So yeah, things are going well.
just speed runs through all of it.
Right.
So yeah, just a little bit. So you transitioned from going from yard sales and then eventually to discount stores. Can you speak about like which discount stores you were going to?
Yeah, so the big ones at the time for me were Ross and Marshalls. Really, the big thing for me was just, I was watching YouTube videos like this. And like I said, I was trying to find something that I could scale to some extent. So, I mean, and personally, I didn't even realize what those stores were at the time. Like I'd never shopped in them or anything. And I just couldn't believe, like I was seeing people online, just finding like Kobe's and different shoes that I was, able to flip for over $100 for like $20, $30. But yeah, Ross and Marshalls were big for me. So I did some TJ Maxx, but I'm also fortunate that I live in an area where I have like 30, 40 of those stores within.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's so insane. Yeah. So that's some people are like, oh, can I find all that? I'm like, some areas are different, but definitely helped that I'm in a good area. But yeah, no, I mean those a lot of people, my friends or people I talked to at the time, like were kind of in disbelief that that you could make, I think I did pretty much 6 figures in sales the first year off just those stores. So I mean some days I was hitting like 20, 25 of them in a day, but no, they were just a great kind of entryway into this. Without, with also just the lower capital. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about plenty of other sites and like botting and stuff today. But I just thought it was awesome that I could go there and get cleats for like $10, $15 that some of them are selling for over $100.
Yeah, that's insane. Like I do that for fun. Like,
yeah, I know, right? You're like,
it's insane.
You're like, hey, I'll just hit up this
selling.
Yeah. No, I was saying like, yeah, I'll just be out and I'll be like, oh, there's a Ross right there. I'll just run over there and I'm like, oh, I paid for my groceries that I just bought.
Exactly. You go in, you find the cleats that were 20 that you're gonna sell on eBay for 80, make it quick, like 40 after fees, and keep it moving.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, some of the times you go in there, if people are watching this and haven't really gone into those stores much, some of those times, if you're at like a discount day, like I remember getting cleats for like $1.50, like $2, like that they're just trying to move out the door, and it's like all of these are going to go for $50 to $100. So, if people aren't out there doing that, definitely hit those stores up. There's a lot more in there than people would imagine.
Huge opportunity. Did you ever get like a backdoor connection with Ross?
I didn't. Like no, I never really got. For some reason, like I didn't know those stores. Now I hear people being like, "Oh, I got people telling me when they restock and everything." But no, I never really. I didn't think that. Yeah, I was pretty new at that point. I hadn't seasoned myself into building the relationships and the network part yet.
Yeah, I've heard stories of people, and this is a little bit of game, right? I've heard stories of people where a lot of the Marshalls are cutting off the top. They'll get the backdoor access before they cut off the top, and then sell those on Amazon.
Yeah, because I see people in there with like stacks of them, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, those are great opportunities. I mean, you can do serious numbers just off those stores if you're in an area. But yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so for those plays, you were mainly flipping it on eBay or
at the time it was like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Like at that point, so this was like 2018, 2019. Like I still go to them, but that in 2018, 19, that was all I was doing. I hadn't come across doing it at Nike outlets, anything else. It was just all discount stores.
Yeah. You can still find crazy stuff, but it's like that time period was the golden era.
Yeah,
where you could find a real like Kobe's for nothing.
Yep. Yeah, I got a picture. I still got a picture from like the first run I ever made of those, and there's like Kobe's in there. There's Jordans. It's wild. I mean, I've been seeing more stuff pop up lately, but maybe that's just cherry picking the winners on my timeline. But I mean, I still see people get the big one for me at those stores is cleats, though. Like that's
cleats 100%.
Yeah.
That's where the money's made.
Yep.
So one thing, so your entire channel is about botting, and somebody that's watching this, my channel is all about Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm really trying to get at is, do you think there's any type of crossover where the botting world kind of meets the Amazon world, and what do you think about that?
So I think that I guess like any business, right? Like I've got certain products that I know that I'm not going to sell on Amazon, and then I've got other SKUs and just types of shoes that, let's say, Nike is releasing that I really try to focus on. So like the big one for me is like, if you are running sneaker bots, a lot of the shoes that I like hit aren't really what I would sell on there. And just what I mean by that is, like, if I hit a pair of Travis Scott's, like running a bot, that's, I'm not going to sell those on Amazon. It's more of like I'm going to sell that on GOAT with the authentication so that nobody can really scam me, because I mean, we all know, like, you can return some stuff on Amazon pretty easily, which is all in the game. That's part of knowing where you're selling in the customers. But the big one for me is just dunks, right? Like, so Nike dunks, I can hit those all day for the most part with a sneaker bot. Just at the point I'm at now, I can hit 10, 20 pairs of those. And to be honest, if I didn't have Amazon, like, I wouldn't even run for them, because the margin would just be, I'd be making like $5 a dunk, because after taxes and shipping, I'm paying like 120, low 120s for it. And then if I'm paying, and on GOAT or StockX, if they're 150, 160, again, after the fees and everything, I'm hardly making any money. But with a lot of these dunks, I mean, they're going for give or take 200. Obviously, in some cases, they're more if it's a really rare colorway. But it's really, for me, it's like dunks and really like Nike basketball and like Jordan retros, which again are just, if anybody knows Jordans or doesn't, there's the main like 13 or 14 of them that he really wore while he was playing. And again, those aren't like going for that much money. Like, some of them at a loss, but just using your good old Keepa, like, you can just, and just put it on there and just check it out. And it's like, man, I can still make 30, 40 bucks off some of these shoes that just, quite frankly, aren't profitable anywhere else. So I try to keep it to, like, kind of, I would say, like, in the mid range of what I'm buying. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not going to sell stuff on there that's really high priced premium, like a rare Jordan or a rare Yeezy, because again, it's very easy for somebody, I guess that could be me being paranoid too, but like, I'm worried about those returns just because somebody could say they're not real or whatever. And I know that, obviously I know how you combat that with, having your receipts and all your ducks in a row. But I really focus on on dunks, just because Nike's putting those out left and right. And just the margin on those is outstanding. Now, what I mean? And I also go in store to Nike outlets in the area and everything. And there's obviously a lot in there I can get new in box. But it's really particular shoes, honestly. Like,
So why do you think there is that discrepancy where, say, on eBay, the dunk's going for 140, but on Amazon it's going for literally like $60 more? Why do you think there is that gap?
I think the discrepancy is mostly that, like, this is just my opinion, I guess, and could just be from my experience and kind of clouding how I see it. But like, I didn't even realize until I started selling that, like, they sold these shoes on Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking, like, they're just, they're selling their Amazon basics and books and all this other stuff, pretty much everything else. But like, I'd never gone to look at buying a pair of Jordans on Amazon. I'd just never done it. And when I went on there and like saw the prices for the first time, I was like, this seems like this can't be legit. Like, this is like too good to be true. So, I mean, in my opinion, what I see happening is, I think a lot of people are in that Amazon ecosystem and they like the convenience. And I think a lot of people too think that just Amazon has the lowest prices on everything. Because I mean, that's kind of how I've been trained to think, where the public is trained to think, like, Amazon's got the lowest prices. They've got the biggest scale of any company that's ever existed on planet Earth, pretty much. And I think that there are people in there that are buying shoes that don't have an idea on the market. So they're not really getting that. I mean, they're thinking, oh, if these are 270 on here, they're not going to be 190 on another platform. That would be crazy, but they are 190 on another platform.
Yeah.
And I think just that, I think the people on Amazon are less knowledgeable about sneakers. Again, I could be completely wrong, but I think that they don't really know the prices, and I think the convenience is everything for a lot of people. Because I mean, you get that free shipping, you can return it pretty much. You can wear them into the ground for 28 days and return them. Like, I think people just really are comfortable in that ecosystem. They get the stuff quickly. They know, they can return it if they've got any issues. You just take it down to the UPS and give it to them, and they package it. I think it's really easy, and I think it's also. I mean, if you look at Amazon's customer base, there is a certain socioeconomic group that is the predominant buyer on that market. So
yeah,
I think there's some parents on there that their kid says, I want these Dunks, and they're like, I don't know where to find these. I can't go to the store and find them. So Amazon's got them. Like, they're not going to be going on GOAT, StockX, to sneaker conventions and stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff too, where it's like just a basic Air Max just going for say $250.
Yep.
Really insane prices.
Yep.
And I guess it's just got to be that thing where, people, they don't know what they don't know, and they just shop on Amazon. Right?
Yeah. I've really, because that's I think in my opinion, what it really is. Because any person that I know that are in like the cook groups or Discord groups that I'm in, I've never heard of anybody buying a shoe off Amazon. But at the same time, there's more sales volume on Amazon than all the other 5-6 platforms I sell on combined. So like, it's not the people that I know that are buying sneakers, but people are buying sneakers on there. So, and you asked earlier, like, excuse me, why I liked it too is just the data, right? Like from Seller Amp and Keepa, like I can't get that on any other site. Like I can look at some sales history on eBay, but like you just can't match that on any other platform.
StockX, it's nice because it shows you the sales, but it's not. Same thing with eBay, all the other platforms. Keepa does a really great job. Overall, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
So, where do you see your business going with the whole? I'm not saying you're getting out of sneakers. You're definitely full force into sneakers. You're still botting, which is very impressive. Yeah. I have it's like botters don't. It was crazy because in 2020, 2018, everybody and their mother was a botter. They wanted to make money reselling, and now it's a whole different story.
Yeah. So
there's very few botters, and you've stuck through it.
Yeah. So I mean, I would like to say it's all just hard work, but I guess I put the hard work in to get to this sponsors, and I work with a lot of companies at this point that I'm really fortunate that they provide me. I've got a lot of the bots at this point. I own them. I'm buying them up for the past 4 or 5 years. And then with proxy companies and that, I do have to put that out there, because that I don't want to be telling people like, oh, it's easy. It doesn't matter what you spend on the resources and you'll make money. But the thing I think, and I made a video the other day on my channel about this, that I think the hardest thing for people right now and why so many people fell out is just the fact that obviously prices are down. But like when prices are down this much, there's a lot of releases that just people quite frankly can't go for anymore. So like I'll give an example. Like this past 2 weeks ago, there's this green and white Jordan 1 that dropped, and they're I think they're 190 right now, retail, and they're going for like 155 right now on StockX. So the price has tanked $35 in 2 weeks, and that's a shoe that 2 years ago would have been flipping for $300. Yeah. And like another thing I tell people with the botting is it's hard right now because there's not opportunities to practice. Like those drops like that one where there's so much stock and just a lot of people can get a pair. That's when you really learn what you're doing. Like you're not going to learn what you're doing on the Travis Scott drop, where like me and these other people are throwing hordes of resources at this. And there's nothing wrong with running a small setup, but like you can't just be going for those drops and expect to like learn much. So I think a lot of the people that are getting into it right now, they're struggling because there's just not as many opportunities. Like to go for drops. Whereas like a year, 2, 3 years ago, there'd be like 4 Jordan drops a month where, even at the worst case scenario, you're making $20, $30, $40 a pair. And a lot of those opportunities are gone right now for people because the prices are just at a point where it doesn't make sense to even buy it at retail, let alone all the resources you put into the bot, the proxies and the server and all of that. So, I mean, I'm getting back to where I'm see myself going. Honestly, like I've just felt that like I'm going to keep doing this because I'm able to continue to make plenty. But like, I don't think that there's going to be too much growth from my like bottom line over the next year or so. You know what I mean? I'm at a point where I can keep it about where I've had it for the past couple of years. But it's also, if I was at the point I am at now, skill wise, like 3 or 4 years ago, man, like I would have cleaned up. But that's easy to say in retrospect. But no, I'm still like I said, I'm lucky that I've been in it long enough that I have such a foundation of just the bots, the proxies, and the servers. But I'm sticking it out. I know that the market will rebound. But it's tough, man. It's really tough. I see people dropping like flies left and right. Companies in the space are dropping like flies left and right. You know what I mean? I see proxy companies going under, server companies, Discord groups. So yeah, I mean, I would say the top like 10% of botters probably are still fine because I see people killing it, you know what I mean, hitting 40, 50 pairs still. And, you know what I mean, I'm still able to hit that on a regular basis. But, I mean, really just chugging along, just, you know what I mean, trying to keep my sales where they are. And when the sun shines through the recession clouds, I'll be ready to roll again. But, yeah, it's definitely tough, though. I mean, just it's not as easy. Like, I remember when I started off, I could see the path to making like over $1 million a year in sales. And right now, like that's an ambitious goal with the market as it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In just sneakers, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah. Just sneakers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, hanging in there. I do tell people though, excuse me. I think that, despite the gloomy outlook on prices at the moment and just kind of where things are, I do think, though, there's something to be said for starting. Like, if somebody really wants to get into sneakers and, like, sees kind of like I did years ago, be like, okay, I know I'm not going to get to that point within a year or two, but, like, I see people cleaning up, hitting 50, 100 pairs. I can figure that out eventually. I think now's a great time to start because, sorry, the best thing is that the bot prices are reasonable. So like while there's blood in the streets pretty much everywhere else, I think that like because obviously my channel, I do a lot of trying to teach people how to do this correctly. I think it's a great time to start because you can get a bot without like putting up a car. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it was insane.
Yeah,
that's
like
another thing too is like Cybersoul 8K for the people that have no idea what we're talking about. These bots back in 2020, 2018, kind of that time period, they were like the really good ones were like $5
to 10K. Yeah, 5 to 10K.
$5,000 plus just to get started.
Yep.
And now they're like $5.
Yeah. So like the one you said, I guess the best example of one that's still really good is there's one called Wrath that was $8,000 from like 2017 to 2021 or so, and now I mean it's 1,000 now, which isn't nothing, but man, that's a lot easier to a pill to swallow, just because like you can obviously resell it, but like that it's a lot of money to pay that for something that like just quite frankly you're not going to have a clue how to use this thing. Like I really try to tell people I didn't start having fun like botting for like 2 years. That's not to say that like I didn't know what I was kind of doing after a year, but like it took me years to really be able to be like, okay, this went wrong, and be able to have like a coherent narrative about like what I'm doing and what went wrong. It takes a long time. And I just think that like if people are looking at it right now, I would say, if you can afford a bot, I would try to get a bot, get a couple proxies, and just your goal should be like to learn and not lose money. You're not gonna hit a bunch of shoes within the first month or so, but you can, again, if you have the capital, I think it's a great time to purchase one of those and start working on it. But it's definitely gotten a lot harder. Like people are dropping out left and right.
Yeah. So just to tie into Amazon a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
As an Amazon seller, do you think having a botting background does give you an edge over people that have no idea about botting whatsoever?
I think that I don't know. I think that it can be helpful just because I can get like if you like you said if you know the SKUs and you kind of use your tools like that, it definitely helps me in a sense that like it's very difficult to get that many of those dunks anywhere else.
Yeah.
So like I could feasibly go out to Foot Lockers, Finish Lines, DTLRs in my area, and I could scoop up 5, 10 maybe a day or so, but like I can't pick which ones I'm gonna find out. You know what I mean? So like knowing when these shoes are releasing, it definitely helps me just that I can get a large amount of them because it's just very specific shoes. But I don't know that it gives me that much of an advantage because I mean some people go into Nike outlets and they leave with 40, 50 pairs, new in box, where like maybe total amounts, total sales is not as much, but those margins are going to be way bigger or way thicker a lot of the time on those shoes in those outlets, just depending on what you can find. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to think about that. I don't know. I think it helps me just from a technical standpoint. I think like knowing how to run the bots and everything makes me not scared of software, and because Amazon can be kind of tricky for some people. Like
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like I try to tell people when I'm giving advice to get into it that I know in this space. I'm like, but it's tough. Like you're gonna get really frustrated with it initially. Like you figure it out, but like there's some shit on there that I'm just initially I was like, why can't I list this shoe? That's the same shoe. I got to list it different sizes, and so
the listings
yeah. So I don't know. Other than what I can get and the bulk I can get it in, I don't know that it necessarily gives me advantage. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, though. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, I've always been interested in the crossover because I technically did do it for a little period of time to sell on Amazon, but it was more of like with pools and things like that.
Yep.
More of the retail botting. Do you do any of the retail botting currently?
I have the only time
I guess what you consider retail, but like anything that's not shoes.
So when PS5s came out, like right when they came out, I hit a bunch of those, and then I kind of fell off of that because the prices came down so much. But when those came out that first Christmas and were going for like $1,200 a piece, that was awesome. And before all those companies figured out to put accounts on there, that was great. Before you needed an account for like, what was it, Target? It might have been Target or Best Buy. One of those you didn't need an account, and I was like, this is just silly.
Yeah.
But but some people could definitely get into botting though and get like the freebie bots or any of the other retail bots. And I mean that to me that would give a solid advantage. But then again, I don't sell that stuff, so I'll try not to speak on stuff I'm not as knowledgeable about.
And this is another thing that I just imagine somebody watches this video, they have no idea what we're talking about with all these different bots.
Right.
For ACO, which I'll just explain it really quick. Basically, you have somebody else run a bot where they'll check out for you, and that's a service, right? So say you wanted an item, say you're selling like a hot item, whether usually it's a shoe, you'll sign up for an ACO service to get the shoe, either for the personal or for reselling. Do you think there's a small niche there where you can sign up for an ACO service, get that item to you? So say you find a dunk that you want to sell on Amazon, but you ACO it, so somebody else is running the bot for you, so you don't have to learn about botting, doing any of that. You get it to you, and then you can sell it on Amazon. Do you think there's money to be made there at all?
I definitely think that's a viable. That's a viable move because the other thing is a lot of people that are doing what I'm doing don't sell on Amazon. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why that's the case. Like, I'm putting it out here, and every now and then I'll mention it, but like that's one of the only things I don't tell everyone on my channel is like go sell everything. Like I think that you could definitely do that because like a lot of times I would imagine for dunks people are charging like $20 ACO, maybe even less on some of them, just because if they're looking at the prices on StockX and GOAT or like at a sneaker convention, them making $20 off a dunk that's 110, 120 is like fine for them.
Yeah.
And if you know what I mean, again, if you use your tools correctly with Amazon and are looking at Keepa and looking at Seller Amp and using all that, you can find shoes where it's like, it's cool if you pay somebody $20 on top, if you know what I mean, if you know what the margin is going to be off the bat. Because I have people, I run a lot of ACO, like you just said, where I have people that'll, send me a couple hundred credit cards, and I'll run all their stuff and hit them like 10, 15, 20 pairs. And, it's not always on stuff that I'm running for personally, but you know what I mean? I'm not going to ask them why they want it. If they tell me they want the shoe, cool, I'll hit as many as they want. But I think that's definitely a good move for people, especially on Amazon, just where you can see the prices, you can see the sales history, you can see how many sellers there are and everything.
Yeah.
I would definitely. So, I mean, any people on here, if they find me on social media, they can hit me up.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there. Yeah.
For sure. I know you go over like some things and you just casually say, somebody just sends me 100 of their credit cards and I run for them. I just think like anybody that's watching this has they're not remotely in the botting scene and they do that, they're like, what is happening?
Oh, right? It's crazy to me. Like today I got in contact with somebody and got them set up for like virtual credit cards with Amazon so they could send or Amex. They get 100 cards linked to one account, and I guess it's normalized to me at this point, but like it's still crazy to me that people just send me hundreds of credit cards all attached to one account, like just so freely. It's wild. I delete them every time I get them because I don't want them in my possession. I don't want, what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly.
But there are horror stories. If any of you are looking into this and don't use me and you're like, I'm going to find somebody else, just know that there are horror stories out there of like people running ACO and then like one day, like months down the line, they just wipe everybody out for like 10 grand each on all their cards. So just be careful who you give that information to so freely. I try to be professional and try to provide or present somewhat of a professional front so that people can trust me. But some of the kids doing this are like 17 and they're like killing it botting. So just be aware of who you're talking to or dealing with.
They could be killing it botting, but doing something else, right?
Yep. It's crazy. But I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things about it is that, like I see kids doing it. I see straight up kids just absolutely making a killing. If they had a little more business structure, they'd really make a killing. But I think I've always thought something is cool about it. Even before I did it, I was like, man, that looks fun, man. Like I want to sit there and hit 50, 100 pair of these shoes.
Yeah. So the real thing is like the crossover between Amazon and botting. There's definitely got to be potential. I love that you've been putting in work for literally like over 5 years now, just selling stuff online. Yep. You have that skill of botting, and I know you said you don't know how the market's going to go, just in general, and maybe it's like it is with the sneaker world for a while.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some like. I just have a feeling about it. Maybe it's just just out there, but there's got to be something where it's something super limited. I can imagine botting is going to become more and more popular due to, and this is a trend that's just started to come out, which I think is going to be huge in the next 10 years, about basically an influencer makes a product, say like Mr. Beast, he released his chocolate bars. All of them were sold out, right? As soon as he released it. So I think botting is an amazing skill. Not to talk my head off here, but I think botting is an amazing skill, and you guys should hit up Frittz to learn this skill if you're serious and you're like, oh man, that looks cool. You see him with all the 7 different bots running, and all the disparate things. You love it. Maybe you should learn how to bot. There is a crossover between botting and Amazon too, so you can also do Amazon and bot. And I really think botting will take off the next 10 years because of that influencer marketing. All of these huge brands, I don't know if you've noticed this, Frittz, where you have this huge brands like Hershey, they're getting absolutely smashed by somebody like Mr. Beast, right? Where he just kind of comes out, he's like, I'm going to make a chocolate company, and it becomes a multi-million-dollar company in just a few months, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So Like, what is your opinion on that? Are you like really bullish about it? Or are you like, man, like,
I
I'm not
I
trying to
am.
say it is gonna happen like that, but
I
I could totally see it going that way in the future.
I think it will, because I didn't understand this until I got into botting. There's really no way. I don't want to say no way. There's really no way to prevent bots from working. Like, they can do whatever they want on any site, but if what I've been told by people when I get now is, like, if a human can check out on your site, a bot can duplicate whatever you're doing. It does now. Granted, sometimes they'll have a drop where they throw in like the new capture where you got to put the box around the airplane or whatever. But like, whatever people try to implement, until there's some like way to do verification where like there's only enough, I mean, there can only be one account or entry per actual person, and you can't use emails, because some of y'all probably don't know this, but like I've got like 50,000 Gmails. Like, it doesn't matter if a company's like, you need an account. And then I've got account generators where you can generate thousands of Gmails, thousands of sneakers. Like, so I think a lot of people think it's a lot easier than it is to like slow people down that have scaled up. Like, sure, when they make changes, if somebody's just starting off, it's going to throw them off a lot. But once you get to a certain scale, it's very difficult to prevent people from doing this. And they don't want to make it so hard, because then people, their actual customers, are going to be like, this sucks. I've got to jump through all these hoops. And the tighter they make it on us, the more cancels people are going to get on their own card, which almost pisses people off more. So, like, but I do think I see more and more. Like, I saw one of the bots I have today just dropped a CVS module. So like I think that it's gonna, the world is only moving more online. Like that it's just gonna be more of the, not more of the same, but different flavors of whatever it is now. I do agree though. I think a lot of things soon people will be starting to do that with, just more so than sneakers and necessarily just things on with like freebie bots.
To tie it in a little bit into like this channel and everything, we do online arbitrage, and I'm very like bullish on the future of like a lot of these online arbitrage products. There's some opportunity there, and I think one big opportunity is just the supply and demand of regular items. Say like the Mr. Beast chocolates, people buy out all the Mr. Beast chocolates
like
using bots, or manually checking out, or going in store and doing RA and then selling those on Amazon. People have already done that. They're selling it on Amazon in weird packs, like maybe like a 6-pack, maybe like an 8-pack, bundling them, doing weird things like that, making tons of different Amazon listings. You guys don't believe me? You can look at Amazon, right? It's already happening.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to display is like, this is something that I feel like is still really underground, and like maybe another thing is like maybe in like 3 years from now, people are gonna look at this video and be like, holy crap, like Frittz was right, he's so smart for sticking through it. And like I've seen like
because it's gonna
like,
return.
I cannot like, I'm like this guy is gonna like insanely hit like fat clips and make it. Everybody's gonna look up to him. But the time has to come when
and I mean I think it's important too, because obviously like people got to be good at reselling to be a reseller, right? I know what I just said is so obvious, but what I'm trying to get at is like, you've got to know the market overall too. Like I really talk a lot on my channel about like, when I'm like, the market's down, I don't just say like, but we don't know what's happening. Like, we know exactly what's happening. Nobody has any money right now. Like, not nobody, but people don't have dispensable income. The macroeconomic situation in the world is awful. I mean, banks are failing it's just not the things. The market is down because there are bigger games being played in the world, right? And people just don't have money then right now. It's not like I see people running around screaming that the sneaker market's dead because people are tired of resellers. Like, that is the most asinine nonsense I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's the same as 2007. Were a bunch of people buying houses in 2007? Like, no, nobody had any money. So, and we had the longest economic bull run that we've had almost ever over the last like 13, 14 years. And just people don't have money. And I can tell you this, if if I was in a pinch for money and I had a bunch of shoes that were $300, $400 shoes or something like that, pretty easy cut to make on what I need to cut my spending on. Like, I'm not going to starve, but I can definitely go without these shoes. So I just think that some people freak out because they're like, oh, it's down. And it's like, but it's down for a reason. So, they're adjusting stock. Companies will change. You know what I mean? It'll always shake itself out. So that's kind of how I see it. But I will say, if I was starting off right now, it'd be much harder. I wouldn't just be like up here like, I got it. It's easy. I can't. But I think that it helps to look at that because, when you see things start turning around in the economy and everything, you can feel more certain about things, just your planning and everything. So
even with everything happening and the the economy, do you think people should start now and learn to resell?
I do. I really do. But again, it comes with a caveat that just you've got to be careful though. Like you know what I mean? If you want to get bots and try this, I would just really recommend like don't get out over your skis. Like let's say you were gonna buy like a good bot for $500, right? That the bot, I would say the second, third best bots are like around that right now. I wouldn't do that if I didn't have like several $1,000s because you need the bot, but then you're going to need proxies and a couple other things, which won't be too much. But like, you need to give yourself enough runway to really suck at it. Like, you're really going to be bad. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes reselling. Like when I first started off, not fully looking into the eBay, like all the fees and everything, and not doing like a deep dive on that. I've made other mistakes, but like, you're gonna screw up like botting. Like it's like, I think it was 6 months of me trying before I hit a pair with my bot. And like, I would be doing it on the manual and like in a window to the side where like, how anybody would try to get a shoe, and I'd hit there and I'd be not hitting on the bot. And it gets frustrating when you're like, man, I could have just gotten a pair or two if I wasn't running the bot. But I'm staying up all night, like pulling all-nighters, press and start, and just nothing happening. And it's like, dude, I just spent 12 hours trying to learn this and set this up, and the thing didn't even start. Like, I didn't have the proxies authentic. Like, there's just so many points of failure that you don't even know. Like, it's something to like being a doctor. Like, I'm not comparing to being a doctor, so nobody say that. But like, you need to know a vocabulary to talk about something.
Yeah.
And like, when you don't really know what a proxy is, and like, okay, it's a server. Everybody's heard of servers, but I promise you, many of you don't know what they are, because I had heard of them before I started this, and I was like, oh yeah, server, right? I didn't have a clue what these things were. So I think it's a great time to start, but have realistic expectations and expect failure. Like, if you fail for the first 3 months, you're on the same pace I was. So, you know what I mean? I think it is a good idea, but like I said, you just got to be careful and make smart decisions. And if people want more specific details on that, they can check my channel out. I have a couple videos up on like how I would spend my first $1,000, or like what I would do for the first 3 months. So I think that those can be very helpful.
Yeah, I think you have some of the most info, like on YouTube, you see all the highlights, all of this crazy stuff, people checking out. But it's really hard to find channels where you just learn, where it's just straight information and you just learn. And I wanted to get into botting for the longest time. And I would bot and I would buy items here and there. And it was good. I was profitable.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, I didn't really know how to do it. I watched Fritz's channel and I was like, man, I do not want to do this. It just wasn't for me. It might be for you guys, right? So you guys could check out his channel. Definitely subscribe to him. Look at all of his botting videos. See if you want to bot. I definitely do think there is a very small portion where you could bot and sell on Amazon and make really good money. I think it's just another valuable skill to have, just in general. Is there anything you want to say to somebody who's, say, selling on Amazon now and wants to get an edge, and they decide for that edge, and by edge I mean like just a competitive advantage? Do you think they should even attempt botting at all, or should they just sell on Amazon, or what do you think about that whole concept?
So when when I started, I kind of viewed it as like my R&D department, right? I was like, I'm going to put this in as like a long-term play. Like I knew going in, I was like, I don't expect to make hardly any money this year. Like I really didn't, because I'd heard people be like, it took me a year to learn, or it took me 8 months before I really got into the flow of it. So I really try to have a realistic expectation of things. But just that, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would just tell them to just be careful with, like I said, just be careful with how you're going about it. But I don't think that it's not, I'm just like stumbling over my words here. It's not something that they should be anticipating to benefit a lot off of right now. Like it's a play for the future of like, I knew my goals were to get to certain sales points. And I knew that if I was doing it with sneakers, I couldn't do that from just outlets. Like if I was going to take my business at some point to the next level, I needed to have more ways to get shoes. You know what I mean? I needed to have more ways to get more different types of inventory. And I think I think it's a good idea. Again, if you have the cash flow and you're able to put some aside again, as like an investment for the future. I think if people are struggling right now to keep their business afloat, I think it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like
I completely agree.
Yeah. Not think, and I do tell people this on the channel, like, because obviously like my sponsors and other people want me to just be like, go.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
But right now, no. Like like I said, unless you're doing very well and you're like, I want to just put like 5% of, my 5-10% of my profits into this. I think that's fair, but that gets back in line with what we were saying a second ago, not getting out over your skis. Like because I've seen people burn holes in their pockets rather quickly, not really considering all the expenses and everything. But yeah, it's definitely a long-term play though, because I first started trying in like at the end of 2018 botting, and like I really didn't hit my stride until like end of the December of 2020. Or wait,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like it takes a lot of effort, long period of time.
Yep.
Like
took a year. Yeah, it took a year to go from being like 10% of my sales to over 60% from botting. You know what I mean? So it really I was still my bread and butter was still outlets and discount stores at that time. I was putting in hours a week to try to learn, but it was an investment for the future. I was like, I think I lost money for the first like 5-6 months. You know what I mean? Like from it, but it was just at a point where it's like I was doing well enough with the rest of reselling that I'm like, this is cool, because I see progress. I see that I'm getting closer to these goals, and I know people are doing this because I see them. I'm watching them do it. So, but it's hard. It's hard also to watch people do it, and somebody's like, yeah, it's 50 pairs, and you're like, I didn't hit any. I'm gonna
oh no.
Yeah. And I'm still there at times. I still have days where I don't hit anything because things don't go well. But it's a game. It's a game. It's like basketball, man. You miss shots, you make them. But when you're starting off, you're gonna miss a lot.
I love that. So Frittz, thank you so much for
for sure.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I was like, I have to have you on. I've seen so many people fizzle out of the botting world. Like your consistency, absolutely love. Like it seems like no matter what I'm doing, it's like he's still botting. Like
he's still here.
He's
I'm not
still
leaving.
there.
I'm not leaving.
What was that?
From Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, but no, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely make sure to go follow Frittz, subscribe, everything like that. Leave a comment, hit up Frittz if you want to get into botting. I think it's a great skill to learn. The time to start is now. The time is always to start now. It's only going to get bigger. So
I agree, man. Thanks again, though. Yeah, obviously y'all can check out. I've got content on my social